Good morning. This is the 84th day of Russia-Ukraine war, resistance to Russian aggression. This is a very important day. Media Center Ukraine, Ukrinform is working. I am Vasil Samakhvalov. And on the 18th of May 1944, deportation of Crimean Tatars started. That was one of the items on the very long list of crimes committed by the Soviet Union against its people. So this day is very important. So we started today with Igor Smilyansky, CEO of Ukrposhta. Good morning, welcome everybody. Let's start. Mr. Smilyansky, I think that the main thing we can start with is how does Ukrposhta, Ukrainian postal company, work today, maybe the main trends of the last week. You know, there have been two trends. First, we have been trying to stabilize our operations and to make it as close as possible to how it went in peaceful times. For example, we have set a goal until the 1st of June to get back to the delivery terms we had before the war, of course, in those territories where it is possible. On the other hand, we continue to do everything possible and sometimes impossible in order to care about our citizens on both sides of the conflict lines. For example, today pensions have been delivered. I just got a message. Pensions have been delivered also in territories which are partially not controlled, temporarily not controlled by Ukrainian government. Same in Kherson province. We are based on the fact that all those citizens are citizens of Ukraine. So if the person feels that Ukraine cares about them, that's about yet another voice, another piece of resources for us to win in this war. The last thing I would like, I would see would be for the enemy to say that Ukraine has forgotten its citizens who are in temporarily occupied territories. Could you please tell us in more detail how does it go? How do we restore operations of Ukrposhta in de-occupied territories? What are the main difficulties or complexities you are faced with? What could you identify? You know, one always wants to talk about results rather than difficulties. Like our military is winning, and we have a rather standard procedure. The armed forces liberate a town and village, then the military administration with state emergency service come and do demining, and we jointly develop plans of the demining, and then Ukrposhta comes. First it comes with its mobile offices, which can work even without any communications, without any electricity supply, without any heating. So our mobile post office comes, and it's in 2-3 days after liberation. They bring food, they bring pensions, they bring subsidies, so that people would feel that Ukraine has come and peaceful time has come. And then concurrently we are working on resuming operations of the stationary post office, and it takes some time, and that time depends on how much damaged our infrastructure is, how much damaged certain post offices are. For example, in Kyiv Oblast, there are already post offices working in Bucha, Irpin, Ivankiv, Makarev. So we started with mobile post offices there, and now we already have stationary post offices. Literally yesterday evening we were developing a similar plan for Kharkiv and Kharkiv Oblast, and we have set a task for ourselves. Until the 1st of June we should resume operations of the whole Ukrposhta network in Kharkiv wherever possible. For example, in banks they had 5 or 7 offices. In Ukrposhta we had 60 offices, even during hostilities, but we want to restore all of them. For example, everybody knows about Saltivka, part of Kharkiv, which has suffered the most. We can come there with mobile post offices first, and then we'll open stationary post offices. Now we have been working with the military administration. This morning we were discussing the plans of delivering pensions to rural areas of Kharkiv Oblast, which have just been liberated. We have been working on the demining schedule. You know, unfortunately there are mines at the roadside, so when people come, it should be safe, you know. So we are working towards having enabling people in Kharkiv Oblast starting from next week to see Ukrposhta cars also in villages. Now about parcels, you said a couple of words. Could you please tell us in more detail what is going about parcels, and do you feel that people started using your services more, because many of those who temporarily relocated to the West are now returning home, and to avoid bringing lots of things with them, they start sending them by post. So what are the trends? You can see how economy is recovering based on Ukrposhta, because when we have increasing numbers of parcels, that means that businesses recover. It goes in different ways. Some businesses have relocated to Western Ukraine, and they already restored their business, their manufacturing, their production there, and they send parcels. Of course, we have had many parcels, record high number of parcels. On the one hand, it has been positive. In April, we have delivered more international parcels in April alone than in the whole quarter before that. But these statistics are a bit sad, because it's about our citizens who left Ukraine. I do hope that that project we had, briefcase from home, will become briefcase to home. I hope that we'll start those parcels getting it in the opposite direction. But anyway, it's nice to see that exports are increasing, not exports of those briefcases, but exports of parcels from our businesses who have restored, they recovered, and they have been selling their items in Amazon, eBay, Etsy. Those volumes have been growing. And for example, since the beginning of the war, we were sending everything via Poland. That was Ukraine's window to Europe, window to the world. We launched aircraft from Warsaw to New York, and now volumes are so high that they cannot be handled in one country. So we launched direct trucks from Kiev to Germany, to Bratislava, to Bucharest. From Bucharest, we have arranged with Turkish Airlines, who fly worldwide. They deliver our parcels there. And of course, Poland operations also continue. So it's about increase, and we'll continue to work to have proper quality and quantity. Even though our airports, unfortunately, don't operate as yet, parcels should be delivered. And most importantly, we see it in Ukraine. We see that the numbers of parcels recover and increase in Ukraine. And now we have planned, and we have already started construction work in Lviv and Kiev to expand our capacity, because definitely logistics will change, and we want to be ready to provide modern services and to deliver quickly. Since the beginning of the war, everybody would thank Ukrposhta for delivering, at least somehow delivering. Now people get back to peaceful life, and they have higher expectations. They want their parcels to be everything to be delivered quickly. So we will be working on that. Now also curfew hours are reduced, and we are working to resuming nighttime sorting and delivery. That's how we used to work previously, and we are going to expand our cooperation with Ukrzaliznytsia, Ukrainian Railways. That's what we started doing at the beginning of the war. In the first weeks, I hope that soon we will be celebrating 1 million parcels transported by Ukrainian Railways. It's especially important now when fuel prices are going up. Everybody sees it, and we understand that we have to keep our fees to let businesses work. As you can see, Ukrposhta haven't increased their fees, and we are going to maintain them in May and June. But it has to be based on something. Like when we transport part of our deliveries by railway, it will reduce our costs. Great. Now back to our international partners. What are the prospects of canceling Russia from global postal communities? Because we see that sometimes they think of circumvent sanctions at the governmental level as well as on everyday level. Now their businesses who help them send something from Herbanson, from countries who were used to be friendly to us, right? Well, I cannot say it's easy. Indeed, due to work of our international team and support by our partners, we have deprived Russia of its position in the chairman of the customs group in the International Postal Union, which is also responsible for the rules. But the votes were 51% of votes for that. So it was very close. Our partners from the US, Canada, and Europe supported us, while our partners from, say, CS countries, let's put it this way, from Africa, from Near East, Middle East, unfortunately, they are still working for our enemies. But that only means that we have to continue working so that the enemy should feel surrounded I would like to thank Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia who helped us. They stopped operations. Australia and other partners. The more of our partners stop operations with Russia, the more Russia feels that they do something wrong. And now maybe back to your best marketing success, your patriotic success, your stamps. Postal stamps. There was information about additional printing of additional copies of those stamps, most popular stamp. Then the stamp about Kalush Orchestra has been launched, and then the next stamp with that Russian battleship will be launched. Could you please tell us more what will happen, and what's most important, what are your conclusions from that? Well, there's one conclusion. With any tactical failures, most importantly, Ukrainian stamp has become yet another symbol of our fight, and it has become known worldwide, and I think that this is the main symbol and the main result of all that. Indeed, the next week we are going to launch another stamp. Russian battleship is over, has come to the end. Tomorrow we'll announce some details, and I can tell you that next week there will be 40 days since that Russian battleship sank, and I think it's good to celebrate that event with our next step. There will be 5 million copies of that, so I hope that everybody will be able to get it, and it will be sold in different venues. This is one of the lessons we learned, because indeed Russian cyber troops have been attacking, trying to bring Ukrposhta down, but it will be sold in 5 marketplaces, including international ones. We'll announce details tomorrow, and it's much more difficult to attack 5 marketplaces rather than 1. So I hope we will learn take those lessons into account. Now about Kalush Orchestra, indeed, we will be working with them and with Eurovision, because we have to consider intellectual property rights, because we are going towards Europe to launch stamp with Kalush Orchestra. And I am to remind you that the voting continues. It will end on Saturday about the next stamp to be launched, and everybody can join. I checked yesterday, and there were about 600,000 votes for one of those options. Glory to heroes, about Ukrainian armed forces. Putin, Moscow is on fire, The Hague is waiting. Then Patron the Dog, whom everybody knows, Червона Kalina song, and then we are from Ukraine. So you can choose from those 5 variants, and I am sure that this next stamp will become the new symbol of Ukraine everybody will like. And then we are going to launch stamps about heroes of this war. First of all, about our military, about our doctors, about our railway people, and about hero cities, all our hero cities which deserve a separate series of postal stamps. We have become that, we realized that the stamp becomes a symbol, so we are very careful about images we use, but we have lots of plans, and these new marketplaces we are to launch will make it possible also for our diaspora to buy those stamps, for those people who are not in Ukraine now, who have temporarily, I hope, left Ukraine. Well, I'd like to wish you that Ukraine and Ukrainians would bring you more grants to launch such stamps. Any questions? Thank you. Vitaly Gula, Ukrinform. Please tell us, during the first week of the war in Zaporizhia, there was a fact when a car with postal employees was shot and crushed by a tank. Do you have any data about deaths of your postmen in occupied territories? And in the occupied territories, are you lacking employees? Do you have a shortage of employees? Indeed, there was that sad case which has taught us a lot. But on the positive side, since then, there has been no one case like that anymore. We have managed to work with the military, to work with our intelligence, to work with different special operations forces, so that in the morning we would assess the situation and how it goes, and how much possible, how much safe it is, relatively safe to deliver. I personally went and delivered pensions to Severodonetsk, to Bakhmut, to Pokrovsk, to Lysychansk, and it's clear that we had to decide whether to go there literally 10 minutes before we left for those towns. That's why, as I said, in government-controlled territories, after that, we didn't have any lethal cases, which is good, I believe, in wartime. whether any of our employees died. Definitely. For example, in Chernihiv, somebody was working the combat area actually, and went home to take her family, and then a missile hit them and killed that person. So we do have such losses, such victims. We have 65,000 employees, and clearly, even based on statistics, there would be some losses. About the shortage of personnel, as you saw today, I already announced some job vacancies, and I hope that we will continue having them. In Western Ukraine, we have all our jobs filled. We don't have a shortage in Kyiv. We are hiring, including our people who moved from temporarily occupied territories. Now they reside in Kyiv temporarily or not temporarily, and they get those jobs. Then, look, it's life. I have to make decisions, certain decisions. For example, speaking about Borodyanka. In Borodyanka, unfortunately, a lot of houses has been destroyed. And actually, you know, the only person who can work in our post office there is somebody who stayed there and who has some home to live, to reside. So in some cases, we have to find new employees, find employees among those who can physically reach those offices. Now it continues. Now we are to continue in Kharkiv Oblast, for example. If somebody doesn't work, if public transport doesn't work, you know, people still have to get to post offices somehow. So it's more not, it's not so much about the shortage of people as such, but we have to create conditions for those people to be able to get to their job places, taking into account the curfew, taking into account the routes. Of course, they cannot use a taxi, so sometimes we bring them by our transport. So it's a separate logistical task we have been resolving. But currently everything goes more or less in line with our plans. Of course, there are different situations. In some places employees have left, in some places they stay there. Most importantly, that they are alive and they have some place to go. Where it's impossible to have normal offices, we will have portable mobile offices. Any more questions? I'm Alexander Harchenko, Ukrinform. War, like any crisis, always pushes towards looking for some solutions, creative solutions, some changes. For example, top manager of Ukrainian Railways said that before the war, many people would be skeptical about Ukrainian Railways, about Ukrposhta, about Ukrainian Road Authority, road company Ukrposhta. Now that attitude has seriously changed. And you also mentioned your cooperation with Ukrainian Railways, with the resumption on postal deliveries using railways. Do you expect that there will be that this positive trend will continue, that those state-owned companies will show good development and changes in some old ways of operations? It's especially nice to hear it in Ukrinform, a state-owned information agency. You know, for example, about interoperation with Ukrzaliznytsia, Ukrainian Railways, we met with Alexander, with whom we are friends in Lviv. We reviewed the problem with delivery of goods. It was on Saturday, and in 5 days we launched that railway post, which didn't work for 21 years. We found some postal railway cars, and we launched it in 5 days. It usually takes more for startups to launch, you know, and nobody would see that we signed any memorandums, you know, whatever. We didn't invite any press. We just sat together, decided, and started and launched it. So I think that indeed, first of all, the attitude changes, people's attitude changes, and my view is it all depends on the people, it all depends on the team, it depends on the team working there. You know, the company name, there could be whatever company name, but if there is no team working, there will be no result. And I believe that both Ukrposhta team and the Ukrainian Railways team proved it. About discussions of recovery of Ukraine and all that, I try to be cautious and to refrain from commenting. My work is to work in such a way that Ukrposhta should work. I would like to see people involved in that plan, people with practical experience involved in those plans. We have to have people with some theory, but we also have to have some people on the ground. Second, when something is announced, that's about your question, like there are some program of development of Ukraine with full privatization or whatever. That's an interesting statement, but I proposed to everybody, next time I go to Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast and I ask authors of that statement to come with me and let them show me how many private companies are now operating in Severodonetsk, in Lysychansk, in other towns and cities. How many banks, private or non-private banks, how many shops, stores are open there, how people get food or services or cargo deliveries there, and when they find a lot of private businesses there, then we will be talking about privatization. So, you know, my view is this: when something is announced, there should be something real behind it. You know, any program for recovery of Ukraine, if there is, if it doesn't have anything painful in it, then it's not any real recovery program. It's just something for everything good against anything bad. It doesn't happen this way, you know, about huge costs with zero taxes and everything, you know. If you were to have some oil and gas, some natural deposits, then such program could work. But now, in our today's situation, you know, also state-owned companies pay taxes, pay dividends to state budget. Salaries and wages are legally paid by state-owned companies, and they are paid in a legal way in full amount. So this crisis will be there, you know. Let us have victory in this war as soon as possible, but our enemy will not disappear from our borders. And second, you know, what I personally worried about, how we are to get investors. We have to attract investors to bring a new post-sorting center in Kharkiv. How to invite investors when this new sorting sector costing millions of dollars can be hit by a missile. That's a separate question. So the role of state-owned companies or companies with state share, you know, has to be discussed, and you know, it's about fast decisions, who should do what. Thank you for your question. You know, I hope this work has shown that there are companies in critical infrastructure like hospitals, railways, media, and post, and everything. And our task is to work in line with people's expectations, to show every day how we work. Ukrposhta had the broadest networks in the very first, you know, the very first day of the war. I closed all our offices and we opened them next day. And on average there were 5,000 stationary offices and about 10,000 mobile offices working every day. That's broader than the all networks of all our competitors and banks altogether. So I'm always talking about numbers and facts. And I think that indeed what you mentioned, people feel who was near with them, who is with them, near them in difficult times. But again, sometimes people forget things. You know, I'm talking about facts, about the realities. And to maintain the situation, as I said, we need to improve the quality of our operations. We are already making investments in Lviv. We already started some construction in Kyiv. We are planning, we are working with foreign donors, with investors. We don't ask for money, we ask for equipment, we ask for vehicles, because previously it was possible to go somewhere in 6 hours, now it takes 12 hours. It means that we need 2 cars or trucks, 2 vehicles. Definitely we have lost about 500 post offices damages, 500 offices in temporarily occupied territories. We have lost our vehicles, but these are our internal problems for myself and my team about our losses, but people are interested in seeing the results. So our task is, you know, and Alexander Commission's team in Ukrzaliznytsia has their task, you know, nobody is interested in everything having been bombed and some stations being destroyed. If people are interested in the results. By the way, another result of Ukrposhta cooperation with railways is we launched something in 2 days, I think it's about payments to displaced persons. That's the project we launched it, you know, people get on board the train, and train conductors gather their information. When they get out of the train, they approach Ukrposhta offices and they can get their money. You know, it's like Elon Musk is doing something. You know, when people want to do something, when people can work without any memorandums and whatever, they just want to help people. We have contradictory laws. If you read what is in the laws now, it's about some critical plans or something, you better don't read it. So I am working under one simple rule. If it works, if it helps people, if it helps our citizens, we have to do it. And then it's very easy to make all decisions. Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions? No more questions. Then Again, we had Igor Smilyansky with us, Director General, CEO of Ukrposhta, the company who has been doing huge work to bring Ukraine and Ukrainians together during this difficult time. We are to have 4 more events today. At 1 p.m. we'll have Ahtem Sitlabayev, Ukrainian actor and film director, who will tell us his story, because he is now serving in territorial defense, and he'll tell us about Crimean Tatars. At 1:30 we'll have Andrei Demchenko, the spokesperson of the State Border Guard Service, and there's an interesting subject about shelling and provocations by Russians on the border with Chernihiv and Sumy Oblast. At 3:30 we'll have the spokesperson of the Ministry of Defense, Alexander Motuzyanik, who will tell us about the situation on the front. And at 4 p.m. we'll have Liza Tatarinova, film director. She will present her movie Mariupol Chronicles.